Welcome, everybody. My name is Dr. Daniel Shapiro, Doctor of Physical Therapy, and welcome to the Built to Endure podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about something that's pretty damn important. It's about being misdiagnosed and still in pain. And then how do we actually get answers? What do we actually do? We've been told that we have plantar fasciitis, and yet when we get the treatment for plantar fasciitis, nothing helps, nothing works. We're still in pain. You're told you have back pain because of a disc herniation. They seemingly do the treatment for a disc herniation, but yet the pain is still there. It's been 6 months, it's been a year, it's been 5, it's been 10, and there seems to be no end to your actual pain. So let's talk about it. Let's actually see why this actually happens, because there's something that's really important for all of you to understand. When you get an x-ray, right? Actually, you know what? Let's take it back a step. Pain begins. Let's take your back, for example. Pain begins in your back. What do? We go to the doctor. Doctor says, okay, let's get x-rays. Let's get MRIs. Let's see what's going on inside. Let's say x-ray, maybe it shows something, maybe it doesn't. But then, it's just a stepping stone to get to the MRI. You get the MRI, and then it shows you have stenosis, or you have disc herniations, or you have degenerative disc disease, or some kind of arthritic changes, or facet joint arthritis, whatever it may be. And the doctor says, oh, that's what it is. You know what? That's where the pain's coming from. And so then you get the treatment done for whatever is shown on the scan. And yet, however, the pain doesn't go away. The pain is still there. You do the injections, you do the pain medication, the pain is still there. Or maybe it goes away for a little bit, but then the pain comes right back. And yet nothing, what the doctor's done, maybe you've tried physical therapy, maybe you've gone to a chiropractor, there's minimal relief, but the pain always comes back. Why? The biggest reason for all of these things, for the most part, is that providers, doctors, PTs, and chiros alike, they all look at your scans and they dictate what needs to be done based on those scans. However, and this may seem shocking to many of you, you are not your scan. Just because it says that there's a disc herniation doesn't mean that that's what's causing you pain. Just because you have severe osteoarthritis in your knees or your hips doesn't mean that that's necessarily causing your pain, or moderate arthritis or mild arthritis, or your doctor says, hey, you have bone-on-bone arthritis. It doesn't mean that that is what is actually causing you pain. You can have a disc herniation and not be in pain. If you MRI 10 random people off the street, there's a high likelihood that many of those 10 people will have disc herniations in random parts of their spine. And then if you ask them, hey, are you experiencing any pain? They'll say, no, I'm not. Why? What's up? And so to rely purely on a scan is, personally, I think, a little bit irresponsible. Because then you're missing the forest for the trees. You're not looking at the patient. You're not looking at the person in front of you. And I can't tell you the hundreds and hundreds of times when a patient's come in, brought me their MRI, handed it to me like they're handing me their death sentence. I look at it. There's some stuff in the MRI, whether it's arthritis or, again, like I said, if we're talking about the back, disc herniation, stenosis, or look at their knee. There's meniscus tears. There's arthritis. There's bursitis, and I'm like, okay, we see the scan. Now let's actually evaluate you. Let's see if your body matches what is on the scan. And most of the time, it does not. And when I say most of the time, I'm talking like 95% or so of the time, the person's symptoms does not match what is on the MRI. Again, not saying that what you have on the MRI isn't there. You may have all the things that is there, but just because you have them, it does not mean that that is what's causing you your pain. And that I need to talk about ad nauseum, because people don't understand this. It doesn't make sense. Every doctor's told me that it's because of the arthritis, it's because of this degeneration, it's because the disc height is getting smaller and smaller, the spine is rubbing each other, the disc herniation is pressing on a nerve. There are so many different explanations as to what providers might say. But the fact of the matter is that you need to be very clear. The provider needs to be very clear on what they're actually treating. Because those same patients who are told it's all these issues, again, when they come in, it is not those issues. I had a patient come in and say, hey, My doctor, my podiatrist told me it's plantar fasciitis. My PTs, they told me it's plantar fasciitis. And then within the first 10 minutes of the evaluation that we had, it was clear as day that it was anything but plantar fasciitis. It was in no way, it was an impossibility that it was a plantar fasciitis. And in fact, fun fact for you guys, it wasn't plantar fasciitis at all. It was actually nerve pain. It was nerve pain that her doctors mistook and for plantar fasciitis, which is kind of crazy. And you know, the fact of the matter is, they also, like those same podiatrists, they gave her injections that should have calmed down. If it was truly plantar fasciitis, an injection would calm down the pain because you're reducing the inflammation. When you're injecting steroids into any area of pain, you're technically forcing the inflammation down. So that should reduce pain. And yet, when she had 2 injections, actually, they did absolutely nothing to quiet down the pain. The PTs worked on the foot. They massaged it. They did a whole bunch of your typical ridiculous plantar fasciitis protocol. You ice the water bottle, roll the foot on top of the ice. You go on a calf board and you stretch. You do all these different things, and yet it does nothing. All those things does nothing for plantar fasciitis because it's not plantar fasciitis. And by the way, even if it was, I wouldn't do any of those things. But that's besides the point. But how are you going to do those things when the actual problem is a nerve issue that's actually coming from closer up by the knee? So you could do all the things you want to the foot, but the foot pain won't change if you're not treating the right thing. And I'll tell you this, again, they showed me the MRI. It shows that they have a lot of tendonitis, tendinosis around their foot and ankle, their various different muscle groups. It shows, hey, this is kind of indicative of plantar fasciitis. Now, again, you can have those things, but that clearly wasn't causing the problem. As a matter of fact, I didn't touch their foot. All I did was work around their knee and their hip and through the nerve channel that passed through there. And they had a massive reduction, over 50% reduction within the very first session, within the evaluation. They had a 50% reduction in pain, which I think is pretty damn cool. How much more proof do you need that that's the actual problem? You know, like, it's one thing if it didn't do anything, then you could say, okay, I'm not right either. But it's another thing when you find the right problem. And again, that showed nothing above the foot, showed no problems above the foot. But clearly the foot wasn't the problem. So not only was there a misdiagnosis, but the whole treatment, all the treatment options that this person had, completely useless. Hundreds of dollars wasted, hours wasted, frustration wasted, energy wasted. And to what end? No relief actually happened until you deep dive into the situation. You understand, okay, where is the pain truly coming from? You start working on that area and boom, pain goes away. The same thing when we have people come in after 20 years of low back pain. They, again, bring their MRIs. They have arthritis. They have disc degeneration. They have disc herniations at L3, L4, L4, L5. Okay, they have stenosis, moderate stenosis along the entire lumbar spine and in the thoracic spine. And yet, again, when we do the evaluation, none of their symptoms are actually coming from any of those things. Again, it's there, but at present, that's not what's causing them their pain. The moment we start activating certain muscle groups, start mobilizing the spine, start mobilizing certain nerve pathways, the pain gets massively reduced. Now, a big part of this, and this also goes for any part of pain to begin with, regardless of what body part it is, I firmly believe that patient education is incredibly important. You as the patient going through pain are stressed as it is. There's fear, there's anxiety, there's uncertainty, especially if you've tried multiple things. You've placed your trust in people multiple times and that trust has been failed, right? There's been no delivery on that trust. And so I think that a very important part of the patient experience with the provider, and this is how I treat my patients, is being educated. What sensation is okay to feel? What sensation is not okay to feel? What's actually going on in their body? What are we actually doing about it to properly treat the issue? This is the expectations you need to have from your providers, because if that's not there, then again, you can't the relationship between the patient and doctor is already starting off on a bad foot, and you want to make sure that everyone's on the same page, that you know what's going on as the provider, that you as the patient know what's going on, that you feel a change, you feel encouraged, you feel supported, you feel hyped up and energized, you feel like, okay, like I'm finally on the right path. I trust this guy. I'm going to do what he says. I'm going to follow the instructions. I'm going to be, there's some things that make me nervous. There's some things that I don't feel comfortable doing just because I anticipate this movement being painful or this action being painful. But the moment you dive into it, you see that, okay, this fear was based on previous experiences, not the actual current situation. There have been people who've been told not to bend their spine, that to avoid bending their spine at all costs. And we get them bending again, and they're like on the verge of tears because they didn't think they could ever do that again. Okay, people who have pain with every single task, from washing the dishes to working to laundry to just standing in line at a grocery store, have agonizing pain, then go on to do those things and after treatment and realize, oh my God, I feel so much better. This feels so good. I can't believe it took me this long to find relief. This is the responses of all of our patients. But we get them to that place because we understand where their pain is coming from. You have to understand where the pain is coming from. Treating low back pain for the sake of treating low back pain as a general concept does not work. Treating foot pain that you're guessing is plantar fasciitis. I can't tell you how many times someone's come in with plantar fasciitis and it wasn't it. It was completely missed. But people don't know what to do, and they're like, oh, plantar fasciitis. It's the easy way out. It's the easy way out. It means it's completely diluted the actual diagnosis, if you want to even call it that. To be honest, plantar fasciitis, I look at it as a symptom of a different problem. Any itis, tendonitis, bursitis, plantar fasciitis, these are all symptoms of a problem. I don't actually look at it as a diagnosis. Okay, it's not something that just springs up out of nowhere. It's caused by something else. But again, my point is this. You need to understand where the pain is coming from. Otherwise, one misdiagnosis is going to lead to a second one, to a third one, to a fourth one, and it's going to lead to you being in pain. If the provider doesn't take the time to truly understand or try to understand where your actual issue is coming from, you're going to have a very long life of pain. And I'm sure that is the absolute last thing that you want for yourself, for your friends, for your loved ones, right? If you can't show up for yourself, you can't show up for other people. When you're in pain, it is exhausting. It is stressful. It is anxiety-ridden. It is fear-ridden. You wake up your day and you're like, okay, I have so many things I got to take care of. There's so many things I got to do. I'm going to suffer through all of it. Got to do what you got to do. But this is going to suck, but we're going to grit our teeth and power through. How much longer are you willing to do that? The answer should be not another goddamn day. And so I can talk about these kinds of things all day. But I actually want to take this opportunity to welcome a live caller on. We're going to bring a live caller in. We're actually going to talk totally random. We'll pick that random. We're going to have them come in and we're going to answer some questions live. And I'm actually really, really excited to do that. So we're going to take a call from Carrie from Pittsburgh, PA. Welcome, Carrie.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. So it's a pleasure to have you on. A pleasure to for you to be bold enough to ask a question. Shoot. Let's talk about it. What's going on?
Okay, so I grew up very active, always been in sports, everything. But when I was 22, I'm now 47, I was first diagnosed with osteoarthritis in my lower joints, my hips and knees. And I was told from being very active, that was normal and acceptable. Just take ibuprofen, aspirin, ice, that type of stuff, which I've been doing for years. I've went through all of the different physical therapies, everything. But over time and having children, I gained weight. And when I went back and said, I'm getting to the point I can't move anymore, everything's starting to hurt so much, they told me lose weight. And they gave me naproxens and painkillers. So I lost 100 pounds, dropped down back to a healthy weight, and ended up having my stomach rupture from all of the pills they gave me. So
Wow.
then I go back and they're like, well, it's not just arthritis now. Now you've got bone spurs too. And there's nothing we can do for you but give you the same meds, but you can't take those anymore. So that's when I started becoming my own doctor and just Googling everything, trying to find out what I could do. Been to chiropractors. I've done everything: acupuncture, stretching, yoga. I do stretches at least 5 times a day. There's times that I will do stretches just so I can stand up and sit down.
Hmm.
I don't want to be the grandma in the wheelchair. I want to be the grandma out there helping on the soccer field. So it's time for me to figure out and help myself get back to out there running on that field.
Hell yeah. Oh my gosh, Carrie, yes. That's the attitude that we need in this kind of situation. Um, wow. First of all, I just want to say I am so sorry that this has been your journey and your experience. Uh, I mean, this is something I talk a lot about on social media, which is just lazy medicine, like the definition of lazy medicine. Um, whether you've been active as when you were younger or not, everybody after the age of about 27, 28, 29, everybody that starts to develop arthritic changes in all different parts of the body. It just varies at which speed it happens. So to say that your arthritis is from being active, I mean, who's really to say? You could have not been active at all and had the same arthritis. Like, okay, then what? Right? Like that's kind of ridiculous. And then to just be told for arthritis to just jam medication down your throat, that is insanity. That is crazy. And I hope, Carrie, that the numbskulls who told you that advice, I hope that they're doing the same and having their stomach rupture as well. Because
Sadly, they're teaching in a college right now.
then, oh my, that's even worse. That is disgustingly embarrassing. Um, but again, that's neither here nor there, right? We are where we are now, and our focus is to essentially, focus on going forward. Now, out of curiosity, so you mentioned you do stretches just to stand up, just to like you do a whole bunch of stuff 5 times a day. You said, is that correct?
Oh, some at least. Actually, thanks to your videos, I've been just going through. Okay, well, this is hurt. This hurts today, so I'm going to do these stretches. Well, this arm hurts today, so we're going to do these stretches. So, following your videos is kind of what's got me back to I'm able to move some more. So, I figured that's why I'd come back to you and say, okay, what can I do from here?
Well, I love that. I love to hear that. You hear that, world? It works.
It works. It
That's
does
great.
work. Trust me. And I share them with my other friends and I share them at work and people laugh at me because they'll see me doing the stretch, but then they start stretching too. So it's kind of the big joke around here.
Great. Listen, whatever works, whatever gets people feeling better and moving better, right? Honestly, that's really what it is. So I think what would be really beneficial, and again, this is I'm gonna try to give the best possible advice. While obviously I haven't evaluated you, I haven't really, like we haven't. I've
Right.
never worked with you before, right? I don't know. Even
Right.
with the bone spurs, I'll tell you this right now. There are tons of patients of mine who have bone spurs in their heels, bone spurs in their shoulders. Uh, Bone spurs can essentially develop anywhere where there's chronic excessive amounts of irritation. The body sends around certain nutrients and certain bodily structures to calm down inflammation. One of those things is calcium, and a lot of times bone spurs may form because of that constant irritation. Uh, Bone spurs may form at those areas where there is constant irritation, and depending on the size, it may not even matter. Like all the patients that have come to me with active bone spurs, they were still able to get out of pain. And so the bone spurs that while there, again, like didn't really impact it much of anything.
Right.
uh, there was one patient I had, and she was in her, I think, mid to late 20s, if I'm not mistaken, and she had it was a bit of a genetic thing. It's kind of she was really young to have developed this, but she had pretty big bone spurs along different parts of her collarbone and shoulder blades, which she thought that was what was causing her pain, and it wasn't. So we were able to take the pain away, but she did have some restriction in certain ranges of motion, certain ranges of movement, but that was it. But the pain was gone. So the only thing that was really there was just a restriction in movement, because when the bone spur hits, like there's just you can't go anywhere. It's like hitting a wall.
Okay.
So if you're doing a lot of mobility things, a lot of stretching things, that's really, really good. What I would start to look into is a whole boatload of strategic strengthening. So a lot of the moves that I post, for example, especially if you're doing them, they focus around, especially for the hips and for the back, for the knees, they focus a lot on rotation, right? Rotation of the hip joint, or
Right.
bending through the hip, or moving in unconventional ways that you would typically wouldn't see in a physical therapist office. Right, that's about correct. Like if you've been to
Right. Right.
PT,
Absolutely.
you've probably never seen those moves before.
Right.
Right, there's a reason for that. But same as we want to improve mobility through those joint structures and through those muscles and neurological tissue, we also want to start engaging those muscles as well. I don't post, unfortunately, or fortunately or unfortunately, I don't post much of those on Instagram, just because they're very nuanced and they're very hard to do. It's not as easily accessible. It's challenging, but I would really look into strengthening the rotators of the hip through internal rotation, so inwards rotation of the knee and outwards rotation of the knee. You can do it in side laying positions. You can do it in standing. You can use bands. But I would really, really, really look into now strengthening the actual muscles of the hip. And I think that once you start doing that, strengthening the muscles of the hip, start strengthening the muscles of the back as well. The hip and the back are essentially one joint, one unit. At least that's the way I look at them. If someone comes to me with a hip issue, especially a chronic one, I look at both the hip and the back and the knee. But the hip and the back kind of go one hand in hand. Same thing if someone comes to me with back pain, I have to look at both. I can't just look at the back. I have to look at the hip. Same as I have to look at the mid back, upper back, and neck.
So it'd be similar to doing the stretches, but with the bands, because I do use the resistance bands now, just in my own, like the yoga and stretching that I do. So just using those with your exercises.
You could certainly try that. The truth is that there are so many kind of combinations of what you can do in terms of activation. I mean, if you do the same mobility moves but with bands, like that'll already be a very big step up.
Okay.
But there are so many different variations of so many different strengthening movements that can be very, very helpful. I have I don't know if you ever heard me talking about this, but I have an online movement program called Myomelt, MYOMELT. I have people from all across the world, all across the country in that movement program, and same as you, they've been told crazy suggestions, drugs, injections, useless therapy, all that good stuff. And in this movement program, I kind of outlined a giant program for each part of the body, and it goes through all of these components. It goes through the mobilizing components, goes through the strengthening components, goes through the neurological mobilization components, and it kind of molds it all into one. So again, whether you want to do that or not, that's not the point. The point is that if you've been mobilizing and stretching and doing all those things, which is so good, I think that the next step for you to elevate your level of being, kind of how comfortable and how pain-free you are, is to really start to activate all those muscles the same way you're stretching them. Now it's time to activate them.
It sounds great.
Great. Do you have any follow-up questions? Does that all that make sense?
Is there anything I could do that would help prevent the bone spurs from getting worse or growing back more?
Great question. So bone spur, once they form, they kind of form their own bits of irritation, again, depending on how big they are. But the best thing that you can do to minimize those, or minimize the chance of those bone spurs growing, is the strengthening aspect of it. Because if that can take away the irritation from the muscle tissue that sits right on top of them, that when you reduce that irritation and that inflammation response when there is irritation, that will help to reduce the likelihood that they will grow. Now, if they do grow, just know that there is something doctors can do. Like they can shave it down. Like that is something that is possible.
Oh, I was told that wasn't. I was told that wasn't an option. They said, I was told that, because I remember back whenever I was younger having a bone spur like taken off of my foot, and I asked the same thing. I'm like, can you just like take them off? And I was told no.
Did they say why?
No, he just said they don't do that anymore.
Okay. So talk to someone else.
Yeah. I assumed, oh, okay. I will definitely follow up with that idea because yeah, they get very, very just you can't even move. It hurts to sit, it hurts to stand, it hurts to walk.
Yeah. But Carrie, I just want you to remember again, that might not be the bone spur. Right? Like
Oh,
that may actually not be the bone spur causing that pain. It might be. Again, I don't know the size of them, right? They may have said that's not something that we can do because of how small they are, the bone spurs,
okay.
right? It could be. Again, I'm not sure. Right? I haven't seen your scans. Like I'm not really sure the
Right,
thinking
right. Yeah, I
behind
understand. Yeah.
what they said, but just know that. Actually, let me ask you this question, Carrie. Does your pain go up and down? Are there like some good days followed by some bad days?
Yes.
Or
Yes. I have some days that like if I've had an easy day, just the normal, a movement walking around, I'm fine. But if I've got a big day that, I was at Disney World, walked 10,000 feet, out the butt type of things, then yeah, the next day I can barely even move,
okay,
hobble, barely, it hurts to even sit on a couch type of feel.
okay. Carrie, I'm not a gambling man by any sorts. In fact, whenever I go to a casino with my friends, I'm the one that sits right behind them and just watches them play with like some club soda or something. I'm the
Uh-huh.
most boring person in the casino. But if I had to bet that, whether or not your pain was coming from just from this one question alone, if I had to bet whether or not your pain was coming from the bone spurs or not, I would say from what you just told me, no.
Okay.
I would bet that that's not what's actually causing you the pain.
All right.
And and I'll follow it up with why, just so it's not an empty empty piece of hope.
Leave me hanging here.
That's right, cliffhanger. Tune in next week, right?
Holding
Nah,
my
nah,
breath.
right. I'm not gonna do that to you. Um, I'll tell you this: if you can have a regular day, like whatever regular day means to you, right? It means different things to everybody. But if you
Hmm.
can have a regular day and you can be relatively okay, and the moment you start to use your body more, then your problems start to come out. This is the same conversation I have with people who have arthritis, say in their knees,
Hmm.
or in their hips, and I ask, okay, like, hey, if you have a normal day, do you have good days or bad days? If the answer is yes, I have good days and bad days, I tell them what I just told you. Then your problem is probably not the arthritis, or in your case, the bone spurs. Because if the bone spurs were the problem, same as if arthritis was truly the problem, you would not have any good days or bad days. They would all be bad days,
Okay.
all of them, no
Makes
matter
sense.
what
Yeah,
you
makes
do.
sense.
Right? So if you went to Disneyland, which one was it?
I went to Disney World. Yeah.
Disney World. If you went to Disney World and you're walking around more and doing more than you normally would, and that triggers pain, well, that's more consistent with soft tissue or muscle pain.
Okay.
Right. So, which is why I say if you strengthen the muscles up, that's going to help to elevate the endurance of the muscular tissue, give you more support. And then when you do more, even when you don't do more, but even especially when you do have a more active day, you have more support, less irritation, and thus less pain.
Okay. So
So get
just
to
building the
strengthening.
muscle is going to solve most of my issues then.
I truly think so. And the way
Okay.
to do that, you need to establish your baseline. What can your body handle without getting flared up to the point where you can't move? So that's where it becomes a little bit more nuanced. And that's what I help my patients with to understand, okay, here's the level that your body's at. So here's the movement program or the movement protocol of where you need to start, right? Because again, there's so many different things you can do, and making sure that what you pick is modulated for your level is really, really
Hmm.
important.
Yeah.
That's what I
Sounds
would do.
perfect.
Sweet. Awesome. Well, Carrie, I hope this was helpful.
It was extremely helpful. Thank you very much. I greatly appreciate it.
My pleasure, Carrie. My absolute pleasure.
All
Thank you for
right.
hopping on. I
Thanks. Have
appreciate
a
it.
great day.
You too. So yeah, while Eric gets the next caller, this is what I'm talking about, guys. Like it's so important to understand where your pain is coming from. Like this is what the whole episode was about. If we don't know where our pain is coming from, there's a lot of fear and stress and anxiety that may or may not need to be there. For all we know, right? Carrie goes on to strengthen up all the muscles around her hips, all the muscles around her legs and back. And next time I hear from Carrie, she's like, "Oh yeah, by the way, my pain's gone," or it's like 90% reduced and diminished, and it's only been like a month. And then I would be like, well, hey, not surprised. That's awesome. This is why we talk about what we talk about. Um, but it's so important to have a plan of attack and not let fear or bad, really bad, watered down information from other people dictate your actions. So yeah, that's my thoughts. That's my thoughts there. All right. Let's see now. Do we have our next caller, Lisa from Kyle, Texas?
Hey, how you doing, Danny? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yay!
Oh, it works. I think Eric figured it out.
Yay, Eric!
Awesome. I'm very excited to have you on, Lisa. Thank you so much for joining us and being bold enough to ask a question.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah. So give me what you got. Let's see if I can help.
Okay. So there's kind of a lengthy backstory. My PCP calls me her hot mess, but basically, I don't know if this all is connected, but last October, I started having hip pain. If I sat too long or drove too long, I would start limping after I got out of the car. And once I got moving, things would be fine. And then it just kept progressing to the more I walked, the more it hurt, and it would grab around the front top of my thigh to the groin area. They did X-ray, CT, MRI. All they found was moderate tendinitis, slight fasciitis, but nothing that was really causing the pain I was having. So I started, I'm already in, I would say, decent shape. I've lost 50 pounds since I was diagnosed a couple of years ago with diabetes type 2. But I found out once the weather got tolerable in the spring here, I could ride my bike with no hip pain at all. And I was up to riding 8 miles a day. I was still doing yard work, trimming the shrubs, hauling things, putting rocks out around the shrubs, all that kind of stuff, until beginning of August when my body decided to have a heart attack.
Oh my gosh.
I survived a 99% blockage of the LAD widowmaker.
Wow.
When I got back to the hospital, I had to wait a while before I could start cardio rehab because apparently I was having a heart attack for 2 weeks, and we all thought it was just indigestion, even my doctors, but it wasn't. So I have some muscle. So when I got home, I was sitting around more, and my back started aching. I've had history of 2 back surgeries, one in my 20s and one in my 40s, 50s. I'm 62 now. And so try to walk more, had 2 rehab sessions, got up one morning, was in the bathroom, leaned over the bathroom sink, and I just felt my back seize up. So I knew it had to be muscle, but then all of a sudden that whole hip area, the pain in my back just became intolerable. I mean, I have a high pain tolerance, and I wound up in the ER because I just couldn't take the pain, and I was worried it was going to mess with my heart because, you get tachycardic and stressed and the anxiety and just doubled over 10 out of 10. My PCP tried muscle relaxers, pain meds, nothing helped. And now that hip area is all swollen. It's numb. If you touch it, though, you get the nerve pain. And its swelling goes all the way around to my lower abdomen. So my PCP ordered a stat CT of abdomen pelvis. Before I could get in, I had a scheduled appointment with a spine pain doctor that I've seen in the past. Nothing showed up. They said, left lower quadrant pain unexplained. She doesn't know what's going on. I see him. he takes me in that day and does 2 facet injections because the MRI my PCP did showed protrusion and extrusion of L1, L2, L2, L3, which was new for me. So he did 2 injections. I see a follow-up with him next Friday. But my pain has subsided a little bit. He changed my muscle relaxer, and now I'm on gabapentin. But I still have the swelling. I can't walk for long because I'll just get a pain that shoots around into the front of the groin that makes me literally drop to the floor, because that being in a fetal position is the only thing that takes the pain away. I'll sleep with 3 pillows or my knees to my chest just to get a few hours of sleep at night, because laying flat is the worst. I don't know. I talked to you on Facebook about doing your challenge. We decided it was too soon after my injections. Mm-hmm. I don't know what to do to get back to being active again. It just hurts too much. Now the spine doctor's saying the swelling isn't from the spine, but my PCP doesn't know where the swelling's coming from. I've had so many scans this year that I should be glowing to figure this out.
Lisa, I'm so sorry that you've been going through this. This is
sorry.
Sorry?
I didn't mean to get emotional. My apologies.
What? No. Lisa, you have no reason to apologize. Listen, this is a scary situation. This is exhausting. You can't sleep. You can't function. You can't be active the way you want. You're suffering. This is a high, really big emotional state that you're in. So the last thing you need to do, Lisa, is apologize for being emotional. I can't tell you how many times I've had patients literally bawling on my treatment table. All right. So Lisa, believe me, I'm totally with you. And, we need to put an end to this kind of pain and dysfunction as soon as possible. That doesn't require people just shoving drugs and injections into your body and hoping that that's something that sticks and takes the pain away.
And that's the thing. If they say it's inflammation, because I've also am prone to clots. I've had multiple DVTs, multiple bilateral PEs, and now with the heart attack, I'm not only on 1 blood thinner, I'm on 2, and it's hurting me mentally because I can't go to rehab to strengthen my heart, but I can't take anything but acetaminophen for pain, and if I take anything stronger, it causes intestinal problems.
Of course.
I'm at a loss.
Yeah, so you're really, at this point, it sounds like, Lisa, you're just not sure what to do anymore, right?
Correct.
Okay.
When can I start doing your exercises? When can I get back to rehab to strengthen my heart? There's just so many questions that it totally stopped my active life, and I'm not one that sits around very well.
No, I know, and we definitely need to get you moving. Now, look, Lisa, I have a few follow-up questions to what you just told me. The first question I have for you is, when was just the timeline again? When was that back spasm again that you felt when you were leaning forward?
The spasm happened September 1st, so almost the month after my heart attack.
Okay, so that happened a month. And the spasm, when you initially felt it, was it along your hips and low back? Was it more closer to the middle of the spine, by the shoulder blades? Where was it?
It was left side, about mid back.
Okay, under the shoulder blades?
No, torso, maybe around where L1, L2, L3 issue is.
Okay, so closer to the bottom of the rib cage.
Yes,
Got it.
but
And
it's now lower.
okay, and it was
Correct.
also your left hip, right?
Correct.
Okay, and you mentioned you were able to bicycle. When's the last time you've been on a bicycle?
July.
Okay, and you had no hip pain there.
No hip pain riding the bike at all.
Did you notice that riding the bike didn't make the pain any less when you weren't on the bike in the hip?
With the walking and stuff, no, not really, because then I'd start walking the dogs or be out in the yard, and it would be back to hurting again. I was trying to ride more and more, thinking if it was, gluteal tendinopathy, bursitis, that low impact would strengthen these muscles to where the walking hip pain would go away. But, then I got stopped in my tracks with my heart. So,
Of course. So, Lisa, did you hear my phone call with Carrie?
I heard part of it, yes.
Part of it. So, in my phone call with Carrie, just because, and we're going to combine the back and the hip together, because for me, honestly, it's, and I'm not going to say, I'm not saying this to be insensitive at all. I just want to make that very clear. I'm not surprised that something happened with the back when you've been functioning on a compromised hip, right? Because like I said, I don't know if you heard me talk about it. The hip and the back, especially the low back, are essentially one joint for me. They're
Right.
separate, but they're not really. The spine converges into what forms the pelvis. So a lot of the muscles that are on the hip can impact the actual back and vice versa. And when one part of us is compromised, so like the hip, then we will be overcompensating with our back, with our knees, with our feet. Pretty much anything that is to avoid the pain on the left side, right? Other parts of the body will be working more. This is just like the natural law of compensation, right?
Right.
So the back could have just been like the straw that broke the back, right? The leaning over was enough to trigger the muscle spasm, and that's what happened because of the ongoing issue with the hip. Now, as part of the conversation that I had with Carrie, the hip joint is a very complex joint. It's very much so like the shoulder. And the fact that you were biking without pain, I think, is phenomenal. But it's a very one-dimensional movement. It's a very forward and back movement, right? Your hip goes up, your leg goes down. Your leg goes up, your leg goes down, right? And then, of course, your knee bends to continue pedaling the actual bicycle. But if you're not applying any kind of rotation within the hip, which the hip can rotate, the leg can rotate within the hip joint, you'll be surprised how much relief that will bring you when you start doing that. It may feel tight, may feel uncomfortable in the beginning, but even if you're sitting and just letting the knee fall inwards towards the other leg, or you pushing outwards, right? Just that gentle start right there, just moving it side to side is a great place to start. Glute tendinopathy usually refers to either glute medius or the glute maximus. But what people fail to realize is that even those two big muscles, they're juicy muscles of the hip, they're big, but they also have rotational components. They don't only send the leg back, they also turn the hip in different directions. And so we want to be able to utilize all the muscles that exist within the hip joint. If we start to utilize them more, you will start to see that those tendinopathies go away. And a lot of times there's inflammation and swelling that can happen from irritation. I had a patient once that every summer, without fail, and she's had this issue for like 8 years, every summer her entire right leg would swell up. Like from hip to foot, the whole thing would just swell up. And she loved being active. She loved going bicycle riding and hiking. She went through one doctor after another. Nobody could figure out what the heck is going on. She had tests done and scans done and blood tests done. She went to a rheumatologist, and everyone's like, on paper, you're good. We don't know why this is happening. And it just turns out that the entire line from her back down to her toes, she had incredible amounts of nerve tension, incredible amounts of weakness, incredible amounts of irritation and inflammation from tendon irritation. And once we started to strengthen up the leg and use it more, start to strengthen up the back and use it more, that swelling went away. And we broke the curse. It was no longer swollen.
That's awesome.
it was phenomenal. All of the pain went away. All of the restrictions went away. All the limitations, all the whole full feeling throughout the leg went away. But it's again utilizing, okay, what can the joint do? What can the muscles do? Okay, now we have to incorporate those actions into our day-to-day lifestyle, and you're going to see massive changes. With back spasms, just so you know, I'm kind of not surprised that the facet injections, right? They didn't really do much.
No, not like back in 2021. I had an issue, and he gave me just one injection, and I haven't had a problem since. But this time, and even he was saying my muscles, because when he was trying to insert it, I mean, you could feel it try to go. I said, I'm trying to relax my back as much as possible. He goes, no, you're in such a spasm. My MRI lumbar showed a slight scoliosis to the left on those vertebrae. And he said, I don't have scoliosis, that the muscle spasms actually pulling my spine to the left and making my spine what he called listing. So I know if I could get it all relaxed, my spine would go back into alignment. But nobody knows why I'm numb in the left hip and all this swelling is going on. And if I could get that to go away, I think I'd be doing a whole lot better.
For sure.
It hurts so bad.
Absolutely. And the thing is that when the back goes into spasm, there's a lot of big muscles that line the spine and go through the rib cage and the torso, and there are nerves that come out of your spine, like the nerves that go through the spine that's part of your central nervous system, and the nerves that come out of the spine that's your peripheral nervous system. And there's a lot of muscles that come through that sit right on top of these nerves that when they spasm, they can send a lot of different pains to different parts, to different nerves. And again, if you have further limitation and restriction and movement because of the spasm, if we already have pre-existing inflammation and irritation within the hip, it's only going to make it worse, right? So the swelling and the inflammation that you have could be a byproduct of the hip being 2 or 3x irritated on top of what it was already doing, and mixed in with the fact that you can't move and that you're restricted because of your back. It's all kind of just compounding on each other. Because if the scans otherwise are okay, there's nothing significant showing or explaining the inflammation, that could be it, right? Not saying that it is it, but it could be.
Right.
And so yeah, go ahead.
Do I have to wait for the swelling to go down and it to not hurt so bad? When can I try to start working it to make things let go? I've already went through a whole bottle of Flexerol. I've gone through a week's supply of baclofen. Now I'm on a second bottle of that. They've doubled my gabapentin this week to try to help with the nerve pain, and I don't like gabapentin. I've tried it before, and I start having involuntary twitches in my hands and I drop things, which isn't good when you're on 2 blood thinners and you're holding a knife.
Yep. What's the dosage on the GABA?
Right now I'm on 600 milligrams TID.
Okay, that's a lot.
They start 300. I just changed to 600 days ago.
Lisa, tell me this. Are you sitting down?
Yes.
Are you able to reach the floor with your hands?
From sitting down?
Yeah.
Yes.
Is it painful?
Yeah, no problem straight bending.
No problem straight bending. Okay. Are you curling your spine, or are you keeping your spine straight?
I was keeping it kind of straight.
Okay, let your spine bend. Try to curl like you're doing like a sit-up, but obviously in a seated position to the floor. Let your spine curl. How does that feel?
It's pretty good because that's the fetal position. If I stretch that area of the back, it releases some of the pain.
Okay. And what if instead of reaching towards the floor, you reach out in front of you, like you're reaching towards if there's a wall in front of you, like you're trying to reach the wall, and you keep your back really, really straight. How does that feel?
While I'm sitting as well?
Yes.
No pain.
Does it feel like your back is working to keep you upright?
A little bit. But I noticed yesterday we don't have a dishwasher, and when I hand wash dishes, having my arms in front of me washing the dishes, I start to feel that tension along the left side of that muscle that goes vertical, parallel to the spine. Just doing that, and I'll have to stop because I don't want it to go into a full spasm as I feel it tightening.
Right, but doing this the seated way, like again, leaning forward like this didn't bother you at all, right?
No, sir.
Okay. So what I would recommend, again, without really testing too many things or anything like that, what I would recommend is these 3 ways, right? Bending down to the floor with a straighter back, curling the spine and reaching down to the floor, and then keeping your back straight and reaching forward towards the wall in front of you. Those 3 directions, I would just do that as much as you can throughout the day and just start moving through ways which engage those muscles of the spine, which help to change the angle at the hip and that don't produce any of that spasmy kind of feeling like you just described of when you have like when you're washing dishes or anything that's you're holding in front of you and leaning forward. Start moving in ways that don't provoke that spasmy feeling. Start engaging those muscles of the spine. Change the angle, like even in sitting, right? Place your legs a little wider. Place them a little bit more narrow. Like change the angle of your hips. Put your feet a little bit wider and let the knees come in towards each other while your feet stay put and reach down. All right? Just start changing up a whole bunch of different angles and just start moving your body gently.
Okay.
That's what I would recommend at this point. If it doesn't hurt, keep going. If it doesn't hurt during or after, keep doing it. And you should notice that it feels freer and more relaxed the more you do. Then I'd probably start exploring maybe like still sitting. Instead of reaching forward down to the floor, try reaching to the side. You know, like let the arms hang by your sides and just reach down to the floor that way. See if that hurts. Or you know, also distinguish between what is pain or that spasm feeling versus stretching and pulling. Right?
Okay.
Stretching and pulling is what we want. Right. We don't want that spasmy feeling or any sharp feelings.
Right.
So start exploring which movements you can do that incorporate moving the spine that help to get you in different positions.
Okay. Sounds good. And then I've been trying to do a little bit more walking and getting outside because that'll help my mentality because I'm an outside person. Mm-hmm. Thinking that the walking would help reduce the swelling and get that moving. Is that, in your opinion, good or bad to do?
Lisa, walk it out. Walk as much as you can tolerate. I cannot, like, walking is one of the most underrated activities. People think it's boring.
Well, and do that because, I mean, like I said, I had my first back surgery in my 20s, and I was always told walking was the best thing to heal and strengthen. But then it got so painful with the hip that I reduced that and went to the bike. And it just hampers, like my one session I got a cardiac rehab, they put me on a treadmill, which was fine flat, but as soon as they started incline, I was limping. Right. My hip was hurting me.
Yeah.
So I might try rehab next week. They said they modify it just because it bothers me that I can't do anything for my heart. But I don't know if I should.
Sorry, what was that? You don't know if what?
If I should push it and start, because they had me on the treadmill and then an incumbent bike is what they had me on that day. But if they can modify things, and I'm on a heart monitor, I don't know if that will help things if I start it now, even though I have the hip swelling and neck.
As long as you are okay to walk, I would say go ahead and walk. Right? As long as you're safe, as long as you have water, as long as you have a heart monitor, as long as you are cleared like to otherwise walk from the cardiology side. If you are okay to do that, then again, from a body side, from a back and hip perspective, I would say walk to whatever degree that you can tolerate. Walking is fantastic. It's phenomenal. Don't let that be the end all be all. Don't let that be the only thing you do. But
right.
Again, like walking, yes. Don't if you're comfortable doing it, I would say go ahead and go for it.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I appreciate you so much. It's just been a hard ride.
Lisa, you know they say whatever goes down must go up, right? And as hard as things are right now, the best thing that you can do for yourself, Lisa, is to anticipate things going in a different direction. Anticipate that things will get better, because they will. They will. Right? The worst already happened. You skated by and death didn't grab you, right? You bobbed and weaved like Mike Tyson, like Muhammad Ali. You bobbed and weaved. Okay? And you have a fantastic and I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad that at the end of the day, everything worked out, that you're still here with us. Now we start the push. We start the push to get better, but we have to believe that we will get better, because that's the only way it will happen. Okay?
Okay.
You will, Lisa. You will get better. And I'm sure that within another month, you'll be in a very different place. But I again, from the physical side of things, explore movement, because that is what will help you get you out of this hole with your back and with your hip. And of course, in combination with your heart, of course. But now is a chance to get really excited and push.
Well, that's the thing that gets me mentally is, you survive by the grace of God 1% more, and I would have been dead of this widowmaker. And you survive that, and then you go right into a month of even more extreme pain than the heart attack. I describe that as a discomfort. And I'm like, I survived this to go into just 30 days now of it just wears on you.
Lisa, I don't know if you're religious or not. I'm not overly religious, but they say that God gives the greatest battles to the greatest warriors.
Thank you.
And Lisa, all we can do is troop on. Again, you're here by the grace of God, right? You're here. You're here, period.
Yeah, and you picked me by the grace of God. I've been following you for a while now, so this is a blessing that I even got picked. So thank you.
Our pleasure. Our pleasure, Lisa. Thank you so much for being here. And I cannot wait to hear about your progress.
Yes, I'll keep you updated.
Please do. Lisa, have an incredible, fantastic rest of your day.
Thank you. You as well. I so appreciate it. You do not know how much you help people probably like me everywhere. Texas, do you?
Not yet. Not yet. But it's a pleasure to do so. And I feel like this is why I was placed on this earth, to be able to help people. And, we're going to keep doing it. Keep doing it until the very end.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Of course, Lisa. My pleasure. My pleasure. Well, you never know what life throws your way. And it's so important to move through every struggle, through every circumstance, good or bad. Always be as positive as you can. Pain is stressful. Pain is scary. Pain makes you question your entire body's ability. It drives you insane when you want to do things and you just physically can't. And when the people around you that are seemingly supposed to give you the answers can't or don't, and it leaves you in a very exposed state. And this is why I really wanted to have these conversations and to, make myself available, talk to you guys, present information, tell you about the things I see in the clinic, talk to real people dealing with real problems and dealing with the real life, and show you, all of you, that you are not alone wherever you are, whether you're someone who is a guest on the podcast, on the show here, or not. But I want you all to know that you are built to endure. Okay, you are. And I will continue to help push you, and I'll continue to help educate you, to show you that you can, you will, you just give it time and persistence and consistency, and you will become better. And that's all that this is about. So thank you guys for being on here. I hope this was helpful. If you like this, leave a comment wherever you see this, whether it's on YouTube, on Spotify, anywhere else. And this is going to be the first to many, many, many episodes and many shows. If you want to talk and you want to become a guest, go to endurepodcast.com. If you are from New York, New Jersey, Massachusetts, or Florida, and you want to become a patient, then go to projectphysicaltherapy.com and fill out a form. My team will get back to you, but I'm so glad to be able to be doing this. We're going to be doing this every single week. And we're going to conclude here, and I'll see you guys on the next episode.